Well, Dr. Bill, some news came out recently. You remember the factory fire in Bangladesh?
Yes, I do.
That killed
120, I believe.
120 of those poor souls working in a sweatshop. Well, some corporate email leaked out, was procured, that proved that Walmart, one of the companies that were getting clothes from that manufacturing factory, Walmart refused to supply fire protection for that plant. They did not want to comply with fire safety and spend any money on fire safety.
Well,
So-
we know why. It's regulation, man. Hey, regulation. We don't like it.
So,
We don't like regulation.
So, what this information that was posted, what it said was, in this situation, if corporations were people, if a corporation was a person,
Murder.
then Walmart would be a mass murderer.
Yes, yes, yes.
So, that is proof.
But guess what?
That is proof of how wicked upper management and the CEO of Walmart and these other American corporations really are.
Actually, it's an example of how crazy our laws are.
And it's nothing new,
Okay?
because you told me
14th Amendment
that
does not apply to
that-
corporations.
during the Industrial Revolution, you told me that people like J.P. Morgan had child labor back then.
Of course they did.
So,
Child labor, unions brought about the end of child labor.
so it goes on to prove how wicked capitalism is in the eyes of a conservative. Hey, even the founding fathers were no angels.
They were slave owners.
There you go, women.
All men are created equal. Yeah? What about women
if
and
you're
blacks?
Only if you're white, they're created
Yeah.
equal. What about
All white men are created equal. That's
Women-
what they should have said.
women? Were second-class citizens in
Yeah.
early America.
Yeah.
So I try to explain to some people I know that are not financially independent. They're living week to week, paycheck to paycheck, and they still talk like a conservative. And I try to explain to them this whole facade, this whole flag-waving, Yankee Doodle dandy, patriotic, America's a Christian nation nonsense. America's a Christian nation.
Uh-huh.
Meanwhile, they show photos. I was looking at photos of cathedrals and megachurches and the many millions that are spent. And then they show photos of starving poor children in Africa. So,
What about over here?
in the United States? So what they were saying was, do you think God really would like the idea of spending multiple millions and millions on cathedrals and megachurches and not taking care of the poor?
No.
If the United States really was a Christian nation.
Of course not.
There you go.
Of course not. The United States has never been a Christian nation and never will be a Christian nation until the millennium.
And the Republican Congress did not waste any time after Election Day to start bitching and moaning and making up stories and lies about Obama's plans. And meanwhile, the Democrats are still talking about bipartisanship, and the Republicans make it plain as the nose on your face that they're not interested in compromise.
No, they're interested in protecting billionaires and millionaires. It's quite simple. The 2%. They love them.
Oh, now it's 2% now.
Wow, it's 2%. That's the
Yeah.
big ones.
I mean, it's
That's the big ones.
it's profit before the planet, as in the planet, the environment, global warming, so on and so on, and profit before people. It's an obsession, But these idiots out there, believe me, there are multitudes of these idiots, these imbeciles, numbskulls in America who believe the conservative propaganda and the lies.
Well, I told you why.
And they're not rich either.
Doesn't have anything to do with that. In the political sense,
Right.
we have the two parties. All right, most people don't know that there are third parties or whatever.
Well, we need
But
a
we
strong
have the two parties.
Unfortunately, we need a strong third party in 2016.
We need no parties.
Well, we need
That's the problem.
We need a strong, progressive, independent with a lot of clout behind.
Why not just a person?
Because you've seen what happened to all the independent candidate persons.
Correct.
Recently,
Because the system is wrong.
they were on the
Don't
ballot.
blame the people.
They were on the ballot, and there was a lot of them.
Uh-huh.
But
But within the system.
but nobody knew them.
Still within the system.
Nobody knew them.
When a system is wrong, you don't go trying to change the people, etc. You change the system.
They didn't get FaceTime.
Has nothing to do with that.
You got to get FaceTime if you're running for office. How are the American people going to get to know you?
Exactly. You know how?
How are they going to get to know you?
Another system.
All right.
Don't you get it?
All right.
I just said the system is wrong.
All right. What system are you offering?
I'm not offering any. I'm saying
Change
and
the
critically
system.
talking about the one we have.
Well, the one
We don't have to be prepared to offer another system because we know there's something wrong with the one we have.
Well, if we talk about how there's so much wrong with what we have, and we don't come up with a plan or an alternative, then people are going to call us ranters.
So people are gonna call people ranters anyway. It has nothing to do with right or wrong.
Well, of course, the problem.
Before you can change a system, before you can bring about any change of anything, you have to point up the flaws in the one you got now.
Oh, that's
Then
easy.
you get a commission together, like in an auto plant. We don't like this design. It's no good. It's flawed. Fine. We gather 10 people, designers together, and guess what? We come up with another design. The whole United States Constitution, 1789, was a design. A design for
Right.
a country.
You're talking.
Well, maybe the design needs a little changing.
You're talking about people collectively getting together, and you're talking about progress and making things happen, making it work. You're not talking about a party with two sides that are always in
No
gridlock.
parties. We didn't have parties at the beginning of the country, and it was a downfall politically when we began with parties.
Parties kind of remind me of organized religion. You got
Correct.
all these hundreds of different denominations, and they all hate each other, and they're supposed to be Christians, right?
And they all claim to get their God from the Bible, and guess what? When you go back and look, 99% of them don't,
Hey,
and wouldn't know God if they tripped over him.
it's true. Now even Islam, you have two sections, the Shiites and the Sunnis. They don't like each other, from what I understand.
Well, that's ethnic racist. That's not the division of the religion. Wahhabism is a division of the religion.
Oh, okay. So these, well, the biggest problem is with our system that we have now is money plays a factor in who runs for political office.
Yeah.
And so if you have a Democrat and a Republican kissing elitist ass because they're getting millions and millions and millions in campaign contributions, and then you have independents, let's say you got a dozen progressive independents, or just a dozen independents, some libertarians, some progressive, some liberal, whatever. They don't have a pot to piss in because fat cats are not going to support somebody who wants to help the little guy, in the country.
And again, that's the system.
So they don't have a pot to piss in. So therefore, the media pays all the attention, right, to the two-party system because they have the money.
Because the media likes a horse race. And that's what politics is to the media.
Well, they have to answer.
A horse race.
They have to answer.
A winner and a loser.
They have to answer the sponsors too.
Well, and again, that's the system, isn't it?
That's
the system that's been set up. And who set up that system? Did the poor little people at the bottom set up that system?
No.
No, they didn't.
I think when people left the family farms in the small towns to live in the city during the Industrial Revolution, something really bad took place. That change made Americans dependent on working for some company.
Yeah.
For their survival. For their survival.
For their actual survival. That's why in the millennium and beyond, under God's economics, every man will be free to choose if he wants to work for someone or no, because he will have his own land and his own way to make a living. That's called freedom, liberty.
You will own your work. You own your land that you live on, and
yourself.
You own yourself.
The only freedom that the Republicans throw out at us constantly is to shop. Has nothing to do with real freedom and real liberty.
Well, the freedom to shop benefits them. It doesn't benefit.
That's why.
It doesn't benefit the little guy.
And it has nothing to do with real freedom.
No, of course not.
It's one of these propaganda ploys that they use.
Right. Now, there was another banner I thought was pretty clever, and it was example. This is on our Facebook groups, the Mega Life 21 Hard Hitting Truth group. And the banner showed what all the great things that can happen when you stimulate the economy locally, Main Street, locally, and how all small businesses and entrepreneurs, whether it be the handyman, whether it be the mom and pop stores, everything was available to you locally in your neighborhood. That is the best way to get America back on its feet, is to support local everything. Local businesses, main streets all over the country. Take the tax burden completely off of the small businesses, which are the middle class. Take it completely off. Not just promise not to raise the taxes on the middle class, but reduce them drastically. Take the burden completely off the poor and the middle class. Completely, and put it all back on the rich.
When the amendment was put into effect in 1913, the income tax amendment to the Constitution, only those with money paid income taxes.
Yeah.
Along the way, I will just use 1980s as an example. Under Mr. Ronald Reagan, the tax base was broadened, which means the burden fell more heavily on those in the middle class and the poor, because they had to make tax breaks for the rich.
Well,
and that's how it's been ever since.
Well, I had a huge debate with my friend, Mr. Dan E. Mount from San Francisco, California. I call him Milk and Honey Dan, because he insists that America is the land of opportunity and it's loaded with milk and honey. All right. He's insisting that the flat tax is the way to go. And I'm trying to tell him that if you do the math, ultimately the rich benefit from the flat tax more than our tax system today. I believe. Wouldn't it benefit the rich even more?
I wouldn't get into arguments of that nature. I would show the 10,000 and the 10 million thingy, and that's clear as a bell.
Well, I know.
If you take, let's just say,
even Gary Null liked the flat tax,
because they're not looking at it totally.
Total. No, they're looking at it in
They're
terms
looking at it as lowering the taxes on the big boys.
they're also looking at it as eliminating the IRS. So
Correct.
they're all starry-eyed about that.
All the problems they're in, and the thousands and thousands and thousands of pages
They blame government.
of the IRS.
And they blame government.
But other than all that, the example is very clear. If you have a 10% flat tax and a person makes $10 million, you take away, $1 million. Let's say, make it clear. He makes $1 million. A flat tax of 10% takes away $100,000, which leaves him $900,000. Oh, he's still rich. He's still rich, mind you.
Yeah.
But if the person is making $10,000 a year, and you take away 10%, that's $1,000, leaving him with $9,000. Guess what? It's under the poverty level. Way under the poverty level. Is that fair?
No.
No.
So
Bye-bye, flat tax.
So that sounds like a flat tax flugy with the floy.
Yeah, what was his name? Yeah. What was his name, that idiot who ran for president on the flat tax?
Oh, that's Forbes.
Forbes, yeah.
The son.
Idiot.
Son of Forbes. What was
Idiot.
his first name? Was it Malcolm? It was
Malcolm was the daddy.
his
yeah.
daddy. It was Mr. Forbes. Steve Forbes.
Yeah, there you go.
Every time he ran, well, of course he gave up. He retired. I guess he gave up politics.
Yeah, it reminds me, if the program was so good, how come we ain't looking at the hurricanes 999?
Herman.
Hey, 999 went in the black hole, didn't it?
Herman Cain.
Because it was crap.
Yeah. Well, Forbes, Steve Forbes, that was his real first name. Mr. Forbes Jr. reminded me of Donald Trump today when he attempts to get involved with politics.
Actually, as far as looks go, I would suggest that maybe he is either a relative of or something of the turtle.
He looks like
the turtle.
Mitch McConnell.
Correct.
He had a turtle face.
Yeah.
You're very right.
Yeah.
Ross Perot, Ross Perot, he ran as
a big sucking sound.
He ran as a under the Reform Party. I guess he was sort of a, I don't know what he was. Was he? he's very rich. He was very rich.
Correct. From the government, by the way.
He's
made his money from the government.
I don't know if he was a libertarian or I don't know what his ultimate agenda was, but you can't trust a very rich man that talks a lot of
populist nonsense.
Populist, positive nonsense that benefit the people. Like T. Boone Pickens and his green movement. He wanted to invest in the green movement so much, and the windmills, the solar power. And it ended up that he wants to buy all the aquifers and control the drinking water.
It's always about control, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, Jesse Ventura's conspiracy theory proved that. I mean, yeah, so this is the problem. The money in politics, corruption. I mean, it's age old, and the proof is in the pudding. If people only learn from history, which they don't. So it never ceases to amaze me how many little guys in America support
the big guys
and conservative right-wing Republicans.
That is a matter of successful propaganda over these 30-some years.
Yeah, they keep
by
on
the big boys.
Keep on repeating a lie, and they'll accept it eventually. That's a Nazi Germany technique.
No, it's the same. It's the thing about when you want to tax the rich, let's say. Somehow the rich have turned it around that, if they're going to tax us, they're going to tax you too. And then those people down below, no, I don't want to be taxed. No. We're after the economic royalists only, because they're the ones who are supposed to be paying, and they are the ones who have had a tax holiday for the last 32 years. They owe it.
And I wish these lame brains and numbskulls would get into their heads that the corporations are not the job creators in the United States. Mainland China, yes. Bangladesh, those poor souls, yes. 18 cents an hour, but not in the United States. Anyway, welcome to Progressive Discussions. I am your host, James P. Madonna. It is Saturday, December the 8th, the infamous 2012, the infamous December 2012, the month of the solar storms, which are supposed to come.
Actually, the solar storms are supposed to go till March, I think.
And the alignment of the planets.
That don't mean nothing.
When the moon is in the seventh house.
See, they were aligned then too, weren't they? Back in the age of Aquarius,
Listen,
or are we not even? Who the hell knows?
Listen, this is it. I can't believe that all these many months flew by, and it is already the infamous December 2012. I remember it like it was yesterday when they first started posting those shows, those documentaries about the Mayan calendar. It was a long
Which
time
had nothing
ago.
to do with the end of the world, by the way.
Well,
I think we have something here in the page.
okay, so
I don't know.
So possibly the old age will end, the calendar will end, and a new age will begin. That's what some people are saying. Anyway, welcome to Progressive Discussions. I will formally introduce my co-host and mentor, the Reverend Dr. William J. Eisman. I will pipe him aboard the progressive pirate ship of Newsletters Censored. Arr! Ahoy, matey, and welcome aboard. How are you feeling there, sir?
With my hands.
With your hands. Like the demon? Like with these big hands?
These aren't two big hands, no.
Representing the evil demonic influences during the end times, and these are the end times brothers right here, which means this is what you have in store for poor and low-income people and homeless people. This is what you have in store for in the end times.
That's I believe that's the
tribulation.
The third horseman there, famine.
Well, which one looks more famished, this one or this one?
Well, they're both famished. Look at them.
They
got no skin, man. They got no fat. They got no muscle.
Oh, that's
stabbing.
That's the horseman that is depicted by artists as the Grim Reaper on the horse with the scythe, with the sickle.
Yeah, pestilence and famine.
Pestilence and famine.
Which follows the red horse, which is war.
Look what's happening with global warming. We have a possible permanent drought.
Greenland is melting!
In much of the United States and central U.S. is a permanent drought, possibly. Greenland is melting. The poles are melting. The sea level is increasing. Why wasn't it in the mainstream U.S. media that Highway A1A in southeast Florida was underwater, and all those resorts and buildings right on the ocean got the storms, got the ocean rose, and the cars, the parking meters.
Was that on the east side or was that around?
Yeah, it's in Fort Lauderdale area.
The east side.
I didn't see that in the news up here in the New York, New Jersey area.
Well, up here in the New Jersey, New York area, they better start thinking about dikes, like Holland.
We're not talking about.
I'm not talking about lesbian,
no,
dikes.
I'm talking about.
I'm talking about dikes.
Because the storms, from what I understand, are only going to get worse.
Yeah, I mean, lower Manhattan there in the Battery, was kind of inundated.
And we just had a superstorm category 1. Could you imagine if it was 2, 3, or higher?
4.
And if global warming continues the way it is now, and the sea levels will rise, and the ocean temperature will get progressively warmer, we will have stronger and stronger storms. But of course, the corporatists that run the country, I don't know if they really know it, or don't care, or they don't want to know it, they don't want to listen. I don't know what their deal is.
They think in short term. So they're thinking in short term, and any kind of scrubbers on their smokestacks is going to interfere with their profits, and therefore their stock shares won't go up. And that's what the thinking is. Okay, it has nothing to do with the planet or people.
The poor baby's profits are going to be touched. My heart really bleeds.
You think it had anything to do with the fact
my heart really bleeds for them.
The people today have mesothelioma from working in the factories with the asbestos and stuff. Do you think the asbestos companies gave a damn about it at the time?
No.
Well, that's what you're dealing with.
I saw another clever political cartoon of a factory with smoke pouring out of the smokestacks, and then there's a sign that says "No smoking." I thought that was cute. But anyway, see, I got my hair cut. Actually, I got them all cut, not just one hair. But
Oh, fine.
I look.
Ring the bell.
People say I look younger.
Stop it. Okay.
That's the levity bells, jingle bells. Anytime we say something funny,
An angel gets his wings.
either remotely or, well, let me tell you something. The depiction of angels in the Bible are not what people think.
Ah.
That's another show. That's the God Project that Dr. Bill does. But anyway,
a lot of things in the Bible that people don't know and think. Okay? A lot.
that's true. And the evangelical fundamentalists are still insisting that there is an immortal soul that will fly up in the air and be raptured up.
Yeah.
Insisting.
Well, you know, a fundamentalist, Mr. Roberts,
Yeah.
what's his name? You know, with the 700 Club.
Oh, Pat Robertson.
Pat Robertson. He has come to the conclusion that a lot of his fundamentalists are better be careful and starts thinking realistically about the saying that the age of the earth is only 7,000 years old or 6,000 years old, you know, and to match their creationism myths, you know.
Oh, no.
Of course, they never read. Psalm 104, verse 30, in the actual Hebrew translation.
Yeah.
You know, to English. They never read that to show that the Earth is not 6,000 years old.
Well, these morons actually think that man was around during the dinosaurs.
With the dinosaurs, the only beasts mentioned in the Bible are Leviathan and Behemoth. And Behemoth. Geez, don't ask me the name of it, but it could. This gentleman found out that it could have been a certain huge animal. I think it was related to a hippopotamus or something that did exist on the earth a long time ago. Now Leviathan breathed fire. Were there dragons at that time? What about the unicorn? Were there unicorns?
Mythical beasts, I guess. Well, maybe a lot of
Well, we think of them as mythical beasts,
maybe
but maybe there was a
maybe.
unicorn.
Well, they're starting to, through certain bits of evidence, there's archaeologists are starting to realize that some of the mythical beasts had some truth
That's my point.
connected to it.
That's my point entirely.
Yeah, they're starting to find certain bits of evidence to support that. Well, you know,
Yeah.
it's amazing. All right, let's sink our teeth into these readings.
After November's presidential vote, Catholics could cite ample evidence for their renewed political relevance, while dispirited evangelicals were left wondering if they are destined to be yesterday's election news. Yet their roles in American spiritual life may be reversed. New research shows that the Catholics now report the lowest proportion of strongly affiliated followers among major American religious traditions, while the data indicate that evangelicals are increasingly devout and committed to their faith.
They call it a faith.
Well, it is a faith. It's a belief in nothing.
It's a cult.
They believe in nothing. They haven't proven anything that they believe in.
It's not. It's not
That's
biblically
baloney.
documented.
The first thing a person who wants to devote his life to God, he must find out. That's his job. Not accept tradition and what pastors say and all of this other crap. Find out. You may just waste your life if he doesn't exist. Or if he does exist, then you better find out the real one. And find out what he wants and is doing. According to Philip Schwadl, a sociologist at the University of Nebraska, in the 1970s, there was only a 5-point difference between how strongly Catholics and evangelicals felt about their religion. By 2010, that intensity gap had grown to around 20 points, with some 56% of evangelicals describing themselves as strongly affiliated with their religion, compared to 35% of Catholics. Even mainline Protestants reported a higher level of religious intensity than Catholics. Sociologists have been writing about declines in mainline Protestantism for the last few decades.
Protestantism, yeah.
Mr. Schwadl said, whose findings are being published in the upcoming edition of the journal Sociology of Religion.
Schwadl. I bet he looks like Orville Redenbacher.
The tremendous decline in Catholic strength of affiliation, though, was somewhat surprising. Exactly why these changes have been occurring is a matter of conjecture. Mr. Schwadl noted that the decline in religious enthusiasm among Catholics began in the mid-1980s, coinciding with the first revelations about the sexual abuse of children by the clergy.
Yeah, and how they covered it up for so many decades.
A scandal that has haunted the church ever since. I wonder, though, why some Roman Catholics, maybe like Paul Ryan or Antonin Scalia, not Clarence Thomas, because I don't think he does any kind of research, wouldn't do a little research on the history of their church to find out that it had killed 50 million people during history with its Inquisition and Crusades and converting by the sword.
And how all their traditions of the Catholic Church stem from paganism.
Correct.
They never mention anything about the history.
Moreover, Latino Catholics are less likely to report a strong religious affiliation compared with other Catholics. And the number of Latino Catholics in the United States has been growing steadily in past decades.
Well, Latino...
Oh, yeah, what do they have? They got, what's that, the Lady of Guadalupe?
I was just going to say that Latino Catholics place Mary at the top.
Ah, Maria.
At the top. Yeah.
Well, they pray to her, don't they?
Italian Catholics, too, to a certain extent, but I would say more in Latin Catholicism, Mary is...
Queen of Heaven.
Is mentioned. Yeah, Mary is on top.
Yeah. And according to the Bible, of course, which obviously they haven't read, Mary's taking the third sleep.
Mary's not a deity.
Well, geez, obviously, according to them, she is, because they pray to her.
What is this painting called? The Ascension of Mary into Heaven? The Ascension of Mary. They show
No
Mary.
man has gone to heaven except he who came down from heaven. Thank you. Another little quote from the Bible, which obviously they have never read. At the time, Schwadl now noted that the surge in evangelical devotion to their faith began in the early 1990s and coincided with their growing presence in the public square.
Commence.
Governor Christie of New Jersey
The opposite of these skeletons, Governor Chris Christie.
left Washington on Thursday after pressing President Obama and members of Congress for billions of dollars in federal aid to make his first appearance on The Daily Show with Jon Stewart.
Oh, he was with Jon Stewart?
That's correct.
I missed it. I'm sure they'll rerun it. Did he break the chair? Jon Stewart's chair? Or
No.
did he take a dirigible down to Washington? Or he
They
took
were very nice together.
Now you see how a lot of these Democrats are. They want so bad to be liked by the Republicans and be accepted.
Or to get people on the show.
So if he
Because if you're not going to treat the person properly on your show, they're not going to come on.
so if he comes on and you tear him a new asshole,
Correct.
he won't come back.
Correct. Christie didn't offer any details
Hold on, Ashbet. All right, go ahead.
on his conversations as the White House works to finalize its requests to Congress for supplemental aid. But he said he believes help is on the way to the state that Superstorm Sandy battered a month ago.
You imagine how many more millions Category 1, Category 2, 3, or 4 would cost?
It's a typical thing that goes on. You're talking about numbers and how much, Christie said. While Christie, a Republican, and the liberal Stewart are often on opposite sides of most issues, the Comedy Central host, a New Jersey native, said he and the governor are on the same page about Sandy relief. Two things we very much agree on. We both can't wait and know that our great state of New Jersey is going to bounce back stronger than ever, going to rebuild, Stewart said.
Until it gets knocked down again.
Christie responded, absolutely.
Oh, why his double chin vibrated when he said that?
The governor's visit could help him as he fights to convince Congress to send aid to New Jersey and New York as members are trying to avoid a fiscal cliff.
Ah, the fiscal cliff.
Stewart can be influential. He rallied support for the 911 Health and Compensation Act for first responders when representatives in the region were having trouble getting support. In a rare move for the show, Christie appeared on 2 segments, spending more than 20 minutes on the half-hour show that normally limits guests to 1 segment. The two joked about Christie's love of Bruce Springsteen, with Stewart introducing the governor
Really?
as the state's other boss.
Hey, what about Bon Jovi? John Bon Jovi, he's a New Jersey, they're New Jersey natives.
Stewart noted that as Christie was meeting with Obama, his office released word that the governor had again vetoed legislation that would have created a state-run health insurance exchange, a key component of Obamacare. He asked Christie if he and Obama were using the health care reforms, often called Obamacare, as a negotiating point for Sandy relief. Christie said he didn't do any horse trading with Obama. Christie and Stewart ended the interview by agreeing to meet over pizza, and as Stewart put it, solve the problems of the world. Now,
Hey, wait.
they did not agree to meet over pizza. It was tomato pie.
Who said this?
Stewart, there's a special place where they go, and it serves tomato pie, not pizza.
What does this mean? There's no cheese in it?
No, it's the same thing as pizza, but it's called tomato pie.
Why? So they can charge you more for it? like it's something new.
I have no idea.
Tomato, like some pizzerias call themselves trattorias, so they can jack up the price.
But I was looking in Time magazine today, last issue, and it had these foods, peanut butter and all kinds of foods and stuff. And they had, you know, the price, like say the peanut butter price here, like $2 and something, the regular one, and then the one that's going to cost you $6 and something. Same crapola, but the bigger price. Same thing with Starbucks. It's a cup of coffee.
Speaking of food, supermarket foods or market foods, the incredible shrinking packages. I just noticed that some companies are putting out dried pasta. They reduced the packaging again from 13 ounces to 12 ounces.
12 now, oh my God.
How small is it going to be? Is it going to be like one little bundle of spaghetti?
3 ounces,
like
one serving.
For what? Like to fill up a dessert bowl? I mean, come on, give me a break. I look. Some companies still put out 16 ounces, the old-fashioned 1 pound box. Di Cecco, a fine company from Italy, Luigi Vitelli. There are companies that do it, but the store brands, they're all the way down to 12 ounces, just like the ice cream, shrinking.
48 ounces. Yeah.
You know, it's contempt for the customer.
No kidding. And they designed the packages so that you can't even notice it.
And when
6 ounces of tuna can, you know, looks like a 5 ounce one.
And if you call a company, if you're lucky enough to get a human being on the phone, and you speak to customer service or customer service upper management, they constantly, in a nauseating fashion, constantly apologize to you. You know,
they won't change anything.
But they won't change it.
Thank you.
They apologize to you. They might send you a coupon through the mail.
Send you a box, yeah.
But you know, this whole thing about them caring for their customer, all the commercials, it's all a lie. It's bullshit. And I don't want to hear any of you idiots out there, you numbskulls in cyberspace, saying that, you know, that I'm ranting and you know, this is all true stuff.
I'm sure they said that Martin Luther was ranting.
Martin Luther King was ranting. I mean,
not Martin Luther King. I'm talking about Martin Luther.
Martin Luther, that fought the Catholic Church.
Right.
Started
the ranter.
He started the first Protestant church. Reformation.
And guess what? Those 96 theses he posted up on the church, the Wittenberg church door, they too were things that the Roman Catholics did not get from the Bible.
What about when the colonists protest at the Boston Tea Party? I mean, there were ranters too. They were spewing negativity.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
As long as you rant against something that is bad, you are a ranter.
Now, just because I post or I state, either verbally or in text, a lot of complaints, that doesn't mean I'm losing sleep over it. That doesn't mean I'm angry. That doesn't mean I'm always like I'm having a fit. That simply means I am commenting. I am commenting with emotion, perhaps. Sometimes I comment quietly, but it's commenting because I'm very observant. I make observations. Okay, like when I made an observation about a very famous talk show host and a literal guru in the holistic health movement, because I disagreed with a few things the individual said. I made observations. I made comments. I wasn't against the person. I wasn't putting down the person. I don't dislike the person. I simply made observations because nothing gets by me. I notice everything, and I remember just about everything. So that's all it was. It wasn't negativity. It wasn't bitterness. It was none of those things. It was just simply a factual observation. So don't accuse me of being a troublemaker, a rabble-rouser. I'm spreading negativity and toxic negativity. They like to throw that word in, toxic negativity, because I know things about certain people on the air that is worse than me supposedly ranting. Okay, I'm not going to mention it. I'm not going to mention any names, but me and Dr. Bill were talking about it Wednesday. You know, a racket. Okay, let's leave it at that. Anyway, it's time for Dr. Bill's break, his gastronomic delight known as lunch, followed by his supplements, and we will be back with progressive discussions. This is for all the Chris Christie jokes. I forgot to ring the bell. All right.
There were Christie jokes?
Of course. Well, we there's always jokes surrounding Chris Christie. You know. Well, Dr. Bill, being that we are, you know, in late fall, going on winter, and incredibly, my cilantro and kale are growing in the cold because I learned this year that they love the cold. The more frost you have, the better they grow. And I never knew that. And of course, kale is king.
Kale is king.
As far as nutritional value goes, it's up there. Kale, alfalfa, watercress, they're up there as the top bland plants for nutritional density. Parsley is pretty decent. Well, actually, cilantro is Chinese parsley. It's just that, you know, I guess maybe Marco Polo brought it to Europe and they decided to call it cilantro. Just like they brought the noodles, and Italians go around claiming they invented pasta. It's typical European mentality, you know. It's kind of like there's an arrogance about
Nothing existed.
Europeans. I mean, you know, gunpowder, they took that, they make claim for everything that came from the East, from Asia, and of course, you know, they call the Native American savages. Meanwhile, the Incas were doing precision brain surgery with instruments every bit as sharp and as good as the scalpels today. The Aztecs had weapons made of, I believe it's called Abyssinian, which was sharper than steel, something like that. But anyway, they, as far as science goes, you know, the Native Americans were not backward, primitive savages. But of course, the Europeans have to put everybody down. The colonists have to put everybody down that are not like them. And I guess that is the same mentality that we have with the right-wing fundamentalist evangelicals. They have that same mentality, that same bigoted mentality. If you're not like them, you're beneath them. And then it carried on to
and then that's an excuse to conquer you.
To the rich, yeah, to conquer you. The rich and the
well, the rich are better than us.
Well, the elitists in America that are conservative have that mentality. They if you're not them, you're not important. You don't have value.
Correct.
Plain and simple. And they
Rush Limbaugh has those values.
Yeah. Rush Limbaugh is still coming up with asinine statements.
Well, he's an ass. What do you want?
He's an ass, right? He said something about, he even said don't pay attention to what Chris Christie says because he's a fat such and such or whatever. It's like the pot calling the kettle black. You know, he made a stupid statement about Chris Christie because he didn't like Chris Christie buddying up to Barack Obama. after Superstorm Sandy, and Rush Limbaugh had some things to say about Christie. But to call Christie a fat, to point out his weight, meanwhile Rush Limbaugh has this big, fat, bloated face.
Well,
and he used to be fat.
Once upon a time, he called for all druggies to be imprisoned, but not when he was.
Addicted to prescription painkillers, Oxycontin.
Man.
Oh, how can I forget? Let me salute with my lucky Blackthorn shillelagh imported from Ireland, weapons grade. Let me salute the fact that we now have illegal medical marijuana in the state of New Jersey, and I will be shocked if you do not have an article about that.
I don't.
That is in the news this. Isn't it funny how you don't? Not that it's your fault, but isn't it strange that you don't have that article? Because
all that you hear about it, et cetera, and yet nobody says the most obvious. It's smoking. It's got 100 or more times the tars and crap that are in regular cigarettes.
Who's putting down smoking pot? Who says this?
These are facts, my friend.
Are they facts?
Yes,
or is
they
it
are facts.
some jabroni that's trying to put down marijuana?
And also, after you've smoked it for some time, you lose a little in the head.
No, not in moderation.
Check the hippies from the 60s.
It relaxes you.
That's something else entirely. That's for a person who has a problem. But I'm saying,
what about alcoholism?
along with that are other problems which they are not saying anything about.
Alcoholism causes people
Correct.
to hurt others a lot. I mean, from what I understand,
We're not
you
judging
smoke a
both of
joint.
them.
You smoke a joint, you mellow out. But if you're an alcoholic, you could be somebody who beats their wife, their children, or you know what I mean, or gets into a car accident.
They're both negative and have negative effects upon the body, other than a positive one here or there for a particular condition.
Now, what about the tobacco that the Indians smoked that did not have chemicals and or pesticides in them?
It still had the original stuff in it.
Does it still have the tars?
Tars and nicotines and all that stuff.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So so I mean, it's not
Nothing
like
good about breathing smoke into your lungs.
It's not like Colorado and what's the other state where there's legal marijuana, period, besides Colorado? Washington? State of Washington and Colorado, it's legal across the board, marijuana. Because I saw a photo of a police officer holding a marijuana plant with a big smile next to a woman who grows it, and they're saying for the first time ever, nobody will get arrested in Colorado, which I think is pretty cool. But New Jersey just has legalized medical marijuana. Now, being that this is cold and flu season, there's a lot of fools out there who believe what their allopathic medical doctor tells them. They believe what the pharmaceutical racketeers tell them. And they don't believe in the natural way. They don't believe in holistic health and nutrition and the power of herbs and vitamins. And so they believe their drug-pushing medical doctor, and they get a vaccine. They make the mistake of getting a vaccine. You know how many idiots out there, single mothers, men, women, rush to their family doctor or to Walgreens or wherever, Walmart, wherever the vaccines are given, just say, oh, they're frightened into believing if they do not get the vaccine that they will come down with a very serious influenza and it will be life-threatening. So not only do they get the vaccine, but they give their kids the vaccine, which is it's child abuse, because the vaccines have many numerous negative side effects. Okay, and a friend of mine, she said, I guess what? I just got the flu vaccine, and I feel so damn sick. I've been sick for a long time now, and I'm sorry I got it. That was her statement. And I heard of other people who got the flu vaccine who complained about getting sick. But, of course, they didn't listen to me when I post all kinds of evidence on Holistic Health Talk Facebook group. They won't read it and listen to it and respond. So they go right out there and get the vaccine. Just like when the gentleman I used to do shows with, but we had a falling out. What the hell his name is? I forgot it. The beer expert, Tom Mulvihill, the beer whisperer. You know how many things I posted on Holistic Health Talk about alternatives to cancer treatment, chemotherapy, where, look, you don't stop doing what your oncologist is telling you. You simply supplement it with something that can very possibly get you off of the chemotherapy. I'm referring to his son that has leukemia. Like graviola, which is the tropical soursop fruit, or as the Spanish call it, guanabana. Standardized extract of graviola is 10,000 times more effective than chemotherapy without the negative side effects. The late great Dr. Robert C. Atkins said that turmeric is another excellent replacement for the chemotherapy, which has curcumin. The active ingredient in turmeric is curcumin. That's excellent to take with the graviola if you're a cancer patient. Also, the Asian mushroom extracts like maitake. You can actually get a combination of all of the medicinal mushrooms. Nature's Way has an excellent one. It's the purple and white bottle. So then for influenza, there's the time-proven homeopathic supplement called acylococcinum, made by Boiron. But you can buy other homeopathic companies have a great cold and flu preparation. Highlands, which is a company I like very much. Swanson has it, but it's only a month's supply. This is what really pisses me off. I love Swanson. You save a lot of money buying from Swanson, but they have too many month supply bottles. People do not want to spend $5 on shipping and handling for only a month's supply of anything. It cuts into the discount. Get it through your head, you people out there in where's Fargo, North Dakota or South Dakota?
Fargo is north.
North Dakota. Numbskulls. Get it through your head, man. And getting back to the other thing, yeah, homeopathic works. It works for allergies. It works for cold and flu. It's time proven. It's 200 years old, give or take, from Europe. Homeopathy was proven to be the best all-round medical treatment. And Highlands, I like Highlands Homeopathic Company because it's the only company that gives you large bottles, 500 tablets or whatever. Because they usually a dose is 4 tablets under the tongue, up to 3 times a day, until the symptoms subside. You can't do that with a small bottle. Boiron is always a small tube, but Highlands is a large bottle. Also, the basic nutritional program. I myself and Dr. Bill, we take a mega dose of vitamin C powder with bioflavonoids in it. I take the one from Swanson with rose hips. Dr. Bill takes the one with bioflavonoids in it. I believe it's Twin Lab Super C.
Yeah.
Excellent for this time of year. you must take the basic nutritional formula. Natural vitamin E, which is D-alpha tocopherol in a base of mixed tocopherols and possibly tocotrienols. You get 400 units per day with 200 micrograms of amino acid chelated selenium, okay, capsule form, zinc, chelate, amino acid chelate in capsule form. These are all very good for the immune system during this season. Of course, essential fatty acids, like now they're saying coconut oil has a positive effect on the immune system. It contains lauric acid, which is in mother's milk, which is immunostimulating. Let's see, olive leaf extract or wild oregano oil extract is a great germ killer. Echinacea with golden seal only for the first week. You have to cycle.
For the first symptoms.
You have to cycle echinacea. It's only good at the very beginning when you first start to feel the cold coming on.
Yeah.
And you take it, and don't take it more than like 5 days, and then cycle it. You can go off it for. I would just pump the other ones I told you about, the vitamin C, E, selenium, zinc. Now, vitamin C during an infection, you should be taking up to 10 grams. And in my case, with the powder I have, that is 2.5 level teaspoons. And I put stevia in it and shake it up, and you could sip it throughout the day. But 10 grams when you're sick. That's the Linus Pauling protocol. It builds up the thymus, the weight of the thymus, and the productivity of the thymus gland, which is the master gland for the immune system.
T cells.
Yes. Now, my mixed berry tea that I have here with green tea contains elderberry, which is one of the many berries.
It's the older berries.
Elder?
Elder.
And it's what is that product from Israel? Sambucol. It's a famous product for elderberry extract. Anyway, excellent for the immune system, for colds and flu and infection. It's got aronia, which I think is chokeberry.
Aronia berry.
Yeah.
Good for cancer.
Aronia. Bilberry, blueberry.
Good for the eyes.
Yeah, so you can't go wrong with the dark berries. Whether it be a acai berry, they're all good. The berries are good, especially the dark ones. Great for the brain, protecting the brain. Rich in oligomeric proanthocyanidins, polyphenols, very powerful antioxidant. Even something like cheap old cranberry has high amounts of anthocyanidins. But the main thing is to stimulate the immune system, because normally we all have cancer cells, abnormal cells in our body, and our immune system is supposed to destroy them. So this is the key to a long life with optimal health and a healthy long lifespan. Not a lifespan of being sick, a lifespan of quality
life.
Health. Quality life is basic nutritional formula, vitamins and minerals, and in quality form. Don't skimp. Don't buy cheap stuff. Don't buy dollar store supplements.
Don't listen to doctors who tell you can get all the vitamins and supplements and nutrition you need from your food.
Oh, especially from American markets. Forget about that. And then, but what I was trying to get at before about the famous nutritionists that are on the radio that are scamming is what they do is you go to the office and you have to pay a high consultation fee. Let's say it's $400, which is not a number that I just took off the top of my head out of the air. It's it's been charged. And then the protocol consists of buying their very expensive nutritional supplements. So they do very well. I hear one person has a health ranch somewhere where people go and they pay a fee to participate on the ranch, and then the famous person puts them to work on the ranch, and they get free labor from them. So the people are paying a fee to be there, and then they supply free labor, and they probably use like a store for buying the products of the famous person. So what I'm saying is capitalism kind of tarnishes even a nice subject like holistic health and nutrition. You know, capitalism poisons everything it touches. So that's about it. So what is your take on all this? You know, I mean, if I was a famous nutritionist, I would not say the only supplements you need is my products. You know, I mean, Dr. Fred, there was a guy on the radio, Dr. Fred Vanini.
Vanini!
A holistic cardiologist. Man, he was the worst.
Uh-oh.
He was constantly pushing his products like every 5 minutes on the radio.
Yep.
Fred Vanini. But he was Italian, you know how shifty they can be.
When he got the blowhorn.
He had the blowhorn and he took advantage of it. I think he was on WOR in New York, but I mean, come on. Constantly pounding, plugging his products every like few minutes. Definitely overkill. All right.
The borough of Edgewater in New Jersey
Right.
will delay chopping down more trees that are home to a colony of wild parakeets and allow volunteers time to install nesting platforms for the famed birds in a nearby park.
Why can't they fly south and stay down there?
Because they never did. And now they are acclimated.
If I was a tropical bird, I would have a meeting with the other birds and say, hey, we're tropical. Parakeets are normally from the outback of Australia, but they're from a hot climate. What the hell are they doing living in Edgewater, New Jersey?
A compromise was reached this week after several residents and bird lovers complained when the borough contractors began removing the nesting trees along Route 5 on Monday to repair a retaining wall. They said that the colorful birds, which have lived in Edgewater year-round for several decades, would be exposed to the cold as well as predators. The deal allows the Edgewater Parrot Society to build and install nesting platforms in trees at a park across the street from the parakeets' current home and in other parts of town. The birds would be able to quickly build their distinctive large communal nests on the platforms, much as they did a few years ago when their nests were removed from the Hendricks Causeway Bridge in Ridgefield to allow repairs. I told borough officials that there's a humane way to do this.
Yep.
And everything I'm doing won't cost the borough a dime. I was pleasantly surprised by France's response, the borough administrator, and I feel indebted to him. Evans Fragale estimates that the trees are home to 75 to 90 monk parakeets.
No, they're not parakeets. They're
It
parrots.
says it here. Monk parakeets, also known as Quaker parrots.
No, they're parrots. They're parrots.
About 200 of the birds live in Edgewater.
You mean they have those little black hats on, those outfits, the Quakers from?
Yeah.
They should be living in
And
Pennsylvania.
in the cold, they stand there and quake.
Right.
Yeah.
asking for Quaker oatmeal. All right.
They have also been found in Leonia and Ridgefield.
That's true. Near the Hudson River.
Contractors took down one of the 4 targeted trees on Monday, alarming nearby residents and prompting Evans Fragel to demand they show proof that they had a permit to do so. Franz said the borough had the proper permit, but work was halted. Evans Fragel said the parakeets evicted Monday have built nests on nearby utility poles, posing a danger to the birds. Residents and utility workers alike. In addition to the nesting platforms slated for the park, Evans Fragel said she would look to install some in trees on Undercliff Avenue. No one seems to know exactly how the South American birds came to New Jersey.
They escaped from owners that they didn't like.
One theory is that they escaped from a shipping crate at JFK Airport in the 1960s and eventually settled in Edgewater.
Well, because they found shelter.
Yeah, but you have to ask yourself...
How did they survive the winter?
Correct! How did they survive the first winter?
Look, for a tropical or desert species, even if they huddle together for body heat...
They do build communal nests.
I mean, the air alone, if a tropical animal breathes cold air, they will get a respiratory infection. I know that because when I first got my tortoise, I was living in a home, in an old home. And don't ask me why these really old homes have no insulation or terrible insulation, and it was drafty. And my tortoise had gotten a respiratory infection where it had to receive Baytril antibiotic, because that's the only antibiotic you can really give reptiles. Otherwise, others will kill it. So, it was inside, and it got a respiratory infection. And then, of course, I supplied more heat to the animal. But, how these parrots breathe the icy cold air of being outside and survive in that.
Food hunting.
Amazing.
Food hunting.
That too.
They got to spend some time out there. And what kind of food did they have the first year?
To forage.
Nothing like their food that they were accustomed to eating.
And then how do you eat in the winter if you're a bird?
3. Guatemalan sages burn wood resin, seeds, fruits, flowers on a beach outside Havana on Thursday in a ceremony marking the end of a Mayan calendar cycle that some have wrongly interpreted as a prediction of a looming apocalypse.
And made money off of.
Made a movie, didn't they?
All kinds of movies and shows. Sure.
Raising their hands to the sky and praying in their indigenous language, they kissed each offering before tossing it into the flames or the waves to invoke the gods' favor.
Yeah, they I guess primitive people, well, I don't want to say primitive, but indigenous people all over the world gave sacrifices of different sorts.
Not bothering again to prove that their god exists.
And I think, was it the Mayans and the Aztecs used to give human sacrifice?
Cut out the heart, man.
And it was beating
virgins.
What a waste!
Tossing the virgins.
What a waste of a
volcano.
cute virgin young female.
We are at a moment of profound connection. Pedro Celestino Yaknoch said.
Yaknoch?
Yaknoch. We came here to share the sacred fire and make offerings to Mother Earth and the sea.
Gaia, Mother Earth.
The ceremony in Bacaranao, 12 miles east of the Cuban capital, took place 2 weeks before December the 21st, when the more than 5,000-year-old period of the Mayan calendar ends.
Are these individuals native Caribbean inhabitants, native Caribbean Indians? Or are they just Spaniards, Cubans, trying to make believe that they're native people?
Well, the 3 Guatemalan sages are certainly not Cubans.
The Guatemala, because the Guatemalans look very Mayan. Many Central Americans still look like native people. Yeah, so, okay.
While doomsday theories connected to the sacred date have inspired hundreds of books and television shows and at least one mega-budget Hollywood disaster movie, Celestino explained that there is nothing to the idea that the impending solstice will bring an end to the world.
Mm-hmm.
The 21st is for giving thanks and gratitude, and the 22nd welcomes the new cycle, a new dawn. Dressed in black trousers, blue shirt, and a red and white kerchief covering his head, he led the ceremony steps from the Straits of Florida next to circles of flowers symbolizing the elements. Wind, white, fire, red, earth, yellow, and sea purple. Rosalina Toyuk Velazquez and Maria Fabiana Cochoy collected offerings of fruits, vegetables, cigars, and multicolored candles.
Cigars, huh?
From the 200 or so Cubans who came to participate.
What they
So the 3 Guatemalan sages led these 200 Cubanos, in this ritual. The sages fed herbs such as basil.
What?
Basil.
Basil. Yeah, you know,
commonly known as basil.
Our listeners are not going to understand you. Basil.
Laurel,
that's bay leaf.
thyme, to the blaze,
Including the Cuban cigars?
giving its smoke a spicy aroma.
I would imagine.
The Guatemalans were invited to perform the ceremony by Cuba's Casa de las Americas Cultural Center. Celestino said they chose Thursday for the rite as the day of movement, represented by the Holy Serpent.
That's right.
Energy that rules the lives of leaders, the famous, and the government. The Maya dominated large stretches of southern Mexico and Central America centuries ago.
There's a photo there.
Yeah, it's not clear.
Wow, okay.
That's something else.
All right.
In Newark, Mayor Cory Booker's career
Newark, New Jersey, okay.
of glitzy photo shoots, this was by far the most humble. He stood in his kitchen Tuesday,
Really?
glumly, assessing the 17 cans of beans, 7 yams, 2 bags of frozen vegetables, and 2 apples.
So what did he say to the camera? I am what I am?
That will constitute his diet for the next 7 days.
It's not enough food.
Oh, really? Why don't you tell that to the conservative right-wing Republicans who want to cut it even more.
That's not enough food. I'm sure Republicans don't miss any meals.
Well, they don't miss giving subsidies to big oil companies either.
I'm sure they're all
In their idea that that's not socialism.
I'm sure they're all enjoying a great big aged black Angus steak and possibly a lobster tail alongside. Anytime they want.
As he embarked on a week-long effort to shed light on the plight of 46 million Americans who rely on food stamps, the fact of the matter that there are 46 million people in America on food stamps is a disaster and should point any Republican to the fact that there's something wrong
They give it,
and hold any criticism they might have.
Giving the poor food stamps and welfare is like when you were a kid and your uncle said, Here, kid, here's a couple bucks. Go buy yourself something. It's a drop in a bucket.
But the fact of the matter
ridiculous.
is,
The welfare too. They don't give you much.
the fact that there are poor in America is a problem, and it is a problem that we were discussing at the beginning of this show. The system is wrong.
The system is wrong. The system is wrong, and also the lack of revenue from the rich not paying taxes is wrong too.
Behind the publicity stunt, Booker says, there's a bigger purpose at hand. People have a real lack of understanding of the struggles that many families have to go through. Hard-working families that play by the rules, Booker said when he first set up the challenge last week. Booker spent $29.78 on groceries.
Big deal.
The average weekly bill of a single person who receives food stamps as part of the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, or SNAP. For the next 7 days, and at a time when Congress is considering $16 billion in cuts.
What about the defense budget?
God forbid, no. Not where all that waste is and all that private contractor money coming in from the government.
Yeah, and why are the troops still over there? They should all be home by now.
Karzai doesn't want them there. Booker will put himself in the same position as 850,000 New Jerseyans who receive food stamps each month. The average monthly food stamp benefit was $133.26 per person in New Jersey in fiscal 2011. Let's see, that's like $30, $30, $35, $40 a month? I mean, a week for food?
That's crap.
Actually, 35.
Like, what are you feeding? Parakeet?
Probably parakeet would eat more per month. You know, parakeet food, grains and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Bag of grain. I'm sure the persons who feed the duckies over here go through a lot of grains every month for the ducks.
I'm surprised the Republicans don't recommend that that dried food that they call that zoologists call monkey biscuits. It's a primate chow. It's a basic comprehensive.
Hey, I'm sure if Paul Ryan got his hands into that situation, that would be thought about. Believe me.
Paul Ryan
Or
Mitch
Soylent Green.
Turtle Face Mitch McConnell, John Boehner, all those Republicans wouldn't hesitate to give the poor some dried, pre-made chow, human chow.
Well, look at Soylent Green could do away with another problem.
What's that?
Culling the herd.
You mean like making sausage out of the poor as they die, and feeding the poor to. You talking about cannibalism? Feeding
Little
the poor.
wafers, baby. Little green wafers.
Feeding
Soil and green.
the poor to the poor. Recycling the poor.
Correct?
Didn't we recycle chicken shit to the cows to give them, what was that, the disease?
No, they were recycling cows to feed the cows. Mad cow disease.
You know, it's still saying, yeah, but there's some food that the chicken shit is used in. Actual chicken shit. I don't know if it's fed back to the chickens or what.
Well,
but
chickens are omnivorous, opportunistic feeders. They eat just about everything and anything they can get their little beaks on. But cattle are vegan.
Yeah.
They're not omnivorous.
Yeah.
And of course you're gonna create a disease in cattle if you feed them cattle.
Tell that to Monsanto with its GMOs.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, the ray of hope is there are a lot of many people worldwide that are putting their foot down, saying no to Monsanto.
Well, I wonder if that foot is as big as the money that Monsanto has
You mean,
at its disposal.
You mean if Monsanto should offer more of a payoff?
Of course. That's how you get things done, no? In America,
Like when
you put a little juice in the right guy's hand.
Like when Ted DiBiase used to say, everyone has a price for the $1 Million Man.
Yeah, but the $1 Million Man today would have to be like $10 or $20 million man with inflation.
Billionaire, $1 billion.
Oh, that's a lot of money.
Well, you figure
You could never spend $1 billion in 2 lifetimes.
Ted DiBiase, when he was wrestling, we're talking about the 80s, maybe late 70s, 1980s. So $1 million is not worth that much anymore.
That's correct.
You know.
Anyway, according to the United States Department of Agriculture, that's a little more than $33 per week, or $4 a day. That's you got to live on. Food stamps.
Unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
And now, of course, they don't actually give you the book of stamps that says USDA Department of Agriculture. It's a card called Families First. They should call it Families Last.
Because that's what it is.
Oh, man.
The nation's oldest university has formally recognized Harvard College Munch, a group promoting discussions and safe practices of kinky and alternative sex.
Oh, that sounds like a good article.
The school has no record of a similar group being recognized in its 376-year history. The Committee on Student Life recognized Munch on Friday, making it one of 400 independent student organizations on campus. Applications for recognition are decided by a student faculty committee following the review of a committee composed of students and administrators. The college does not endorse the views or activities of any independent student organization. Harvard is not the first school in the country to formally recognize kinky sex groups, and several active groups exist within the larger community in Cambridge, Massachusetts, and neighboring Boston.
Do they have a course at Harvard where students
You learn kink?
Students have sex for college credit?
Having sex?
For college credit?
How dare you?
As part of the assignment?
How dare you?
How dare I?
Now what would that prove? That you can do it?
That you can...
That you know how to put it in? Take it out? Move it back and forth?
Roundabout, Disco Lady. Remember that song? Move it in, move it out, shove it in, roundabout, Disco Lady. Doon, doon.
Organizers of the group
Shove it in, roundabout.
did not immediately respond to a request for comment.
In a statement on a Harvard website, organizers said the group is for students interested in kink and alternative sexualities to meet and organize relevant events, including speakers, discussions, and screenings. It has about 30 members.
That's it?
The Harvard Crimson quoted one founder, identified only as Michael, as saying that recognition shows members are being taken seriously. There are also practical benefits to formal recognition, including the ability to apply for grants.
Apply for grants for this study?
Post notices, and secure convenient time and locations for meetings.
I guess if they interview Michael, he would have to disguise his voice, something like this. I am Michael. I like it. You would have to. You ever see it when they alter somebody's voice that doesn't want to be recognized? I like kinky sex. Was it? I like kinky sex. I am Michael. I like kinky sex. I know the other.
Oh boy.
Who is that? The Cylon? I'm here. All right. I am here to kill you. I am here to kill you. I am here to kill you. That's the word they have for the poor.
In its support of curbing the filibuster rules in the United States Senate,
Oh.
the record points to Senator Bob Menendez, Democrat of New Jersey.
Oh, I have to salute him. He's a good egg. Senator Robert Menendez, I believe from Union City, Hudson County, New Jersey. I salute you. Great work. And of course, the old standby, Frank Lautenberg, Democrat. Senator Frank Lautenberg. Okay. Go ahead, continue.
Who also supports such changes. However, this is the same senator who in 2006 said, under Bush, Washington has become too partisan and divided. Senate rules are meant to overcome that by encouraging debate and compromise. They should be preserved. It seems Menendez now opposes debate and compromise. More likely, Menendez's position at both times was driven by his own political position. In 2006, Menendez was in the minority, so he wanted to preserve the minority's power. Now that the senator is part of the majority, he wants to eliminate the minority's power. The record is certainly free to take either side of the issue. But if it's going to use Menendez as an example of support, it should have pointed out his hypocrisy on the issue.
I am totally against compromising with any conservative Republicans. So if Menendez refuses to compromise with the GOP, I agree with him.
Well, perhaps he didn't know that the
They are wicked.
GOP would abuse the filibuster privilege. The filibuster occurred once before now, the last few years, where it occurred 386 times under the Republicans. So I think there's a little abuse going on here. You know? A little bit of abuse.
Yeah. Plus, they're always showing photos of the when the Republicans are in control of anything. You don't have a diverse. You don't have diversity. You know.
That's because Republicans rule; they do not govern.
There's no diversity. Like, in other words, under Democrats, you see people of color, you see women, men. You know, you see very diverse. Maybe some Asians in there. It's very diverse. It's very inclusive.
Republicans are not diverse. That's why they lost all the Hispanics and the women and the black votes to Obama. Okay? People understand that. They can see that. It's an all-white party. Just because they trot out a Hurricane Kane or an Alan Watts or some other black Michael Steele.
or Thomas.
Once in a while.
They were behind
These
Thomas.
token blacks.
Or Condoleezza Rice
Mm-hmm.
during the Bush administration.
Yeah.
Condoleezza Rice.
Right.
Clarence Thomas, so on and so forth.
Where is the outrage? Why has Grover Norquist been able to control the will of the Republican Party?
Yeah, why is that?
By forcing adherence to a no tax pledge. And why have we allowed him to do so? See, again,
Allow.
allow the system. We allow, then complain.
So, out of all the present day Republicans, including old Turtleface, would you say Grover Norquist deserves the shillelagh more than any of them?
Him and Rush Limbaugh
Well, Rush Limbaugh is
could have a double swing.
he's a
of the
buffoon.
shillelagh.
Rush Limbaugh is a buffoon.
A buffoon who is taken seriously by his party.
Oh, really?
Yes.
He's taken seriously?
Absolutely. If you say or do anything against Rush Limbaugh, you, as a Republican, will be sorry.
He's like
Many have come to grovel at his feet
so.
once
Besides
they understood their mistake.
So besides Ronald Reagan, Rush Limbaugh is like the baby patron saint of the GOP.
Yeah, him and Hannity. Hannity is like the baby Jesus
Sean Hannity.
of the Republican Party.
Yeah. Well, when Bill O'Reilly is on talk shows, like when he's on David Letterman, and David Letterman is obviously a Democratic, a progressive liberal.
But Bill O'Reilly...
He tries to make nice when he's on a talk show.
But Bill O'Reilly is always wrong. The idiot came up the other day and said that Christianity is a philosophy, not a religion.
Really?
Yes, he did.
Oh. That's surprising coming from a Republican.
Surprising. I believe that any religion with a deity is not a philosophy.
Of course it's not.
Now, Buddhism is a philosophy.
Well, because they never called Buddha a deity.
Correct.
He's a prophet. He's a man.
Correct.
Um,
But Jesus
uh,
ascended to heaven after being resurrected to return to his original godship. Okay? He sits at the right hand of God the Father on the throne.
and you had told me that you believe that the spirit that became Jesus existed at the same time as God. Like God did not create
John
the
1
word.
verse 1. The two gods existed for all time.
Okay.
Together.
Together. Yeah.
Before anything else, they two were together. John 1 verse 1. Read it, people.
Right. And the ultimate objective
Monotheism.
and the ultimate objective of God is to recreate himself through man. To create millions and millions of little gods like him.
No, they will not be little gods. You will not entrust one's character and God them to a child.
Well, compared
That's
to
what happened with Lucifer.
I mean compared to God himself.
You have to go through a period. In the millennium, it will be like 100 years or whatever, or beyond the millennium, be 100 years, where the human being will have to go through character building with God's laws, no devil around to provoke you and make you sin, and etc., until you have accepted and become inculcated the very nature of God. Then, if you are human, you will have to die and you will be resurrected as a God. That's what the Bible says. Okay? Have we Republicans and Democrats become so complacent that we do not see this power grab as a threat to our way of life? At least 296 Republicans signed a pledge of an unelected lobbyist, Grover Norquist. What happened to the oath of office these elected officials took about protecting and defending the Constitution of the United States?
Yeah, what happened to that oath?
Why did the pledge to Norquist take precedence over the country? Could it be because Norquist stated that if anyone broke rank, he would work to defeat them in the next election? Sounds like blackmail to me.
That's what it sounds like. Extortion? Blackmail?
I understand self-preservation. One would hope, however, that our elected officials would rise above party or self-interest to do what is right for America. Signing a pledge to a lobbyist not to raise taxes under any circumstances, even if circumstances require it for the good of the country, is just wrong.
That's right.
If representatives don't want to increase taxes, that is their right. Reasonable people can debate whether raising taxes is the right thing to do, but by signing this pledge, elected officials sold out to a lobbyist in such numbers that the future of this country is at risk. If Norquist can scare politicians into following his agenda upon pain of not being reelected, what else can they be blackmailed into? And of course, I never hear it said or him called a traitor, because isn't that what it is for someone who wants to destroy the United States government, making it small enough to drown in a bathtub? Drowned in a bathtub. Death. Drowned in a bathtub.
Which is the total opposite of their oath that they took when they got sworn in.
Correct.
Which is kind of treasonous. What do you think?
Correct.
And it's not patriotic at all, of course.
Correct. But they're Republicans. And they've gotten away with crimes and misdemeanors and garbage for I don't know how many decades.
And outsourcing American jobs, which is also not patriotic.
And votes. Fraudulent votes.
Fraudulent, there you go.
Disenfranchisement. The whole franking. The whole shebang. And yet, there they are. Much like the Roman Catholic Church. There they are today.
The church.
People respond and respect them, just like they respond and respect to a church who killed 50 million people through history with its inquisitions and crusades and converting by the sword.
Yeah.
Is that ranting?
No, it's reality.
Is that disrespecting a religion?
It's reality.
It's reality.
It's not toxic negativity. It is reality. So you people out there, you modern day flower children, you delusional numbskulls, or no, just delusional people that are cowardly, turn their back to the real world, and walk around in a constant trance of positive energy that you're trying so hard to channel, like your mentors that you look up to insist that you do. I call them online lemmings, because these are people, they all have one thing in common: they avoid the truth.
Adaptive supporters.
Yeah.
95% of humanity.
Yeah.
Go along to get along. Don't rock the boat, baby.
And these include the Democrats that want a
There's no party
bipartisanship.
affiliations.
No, I'm
there.
talking about the people that want to appease the enemy and buddy up to them, instead of telling it like it is. Sometimes you just have to tell it like it is. Otherwise, how do you grow as a person? How do you learn? How do you learn from your mistakes? How do you learn about anything unless you deal with the hard facts? And if you have these people going around telling you Don't post that. Oh, don't say that. That's toxic negativity. You have to channel only the positive energy. Well, aren't you avoiding the problem, the root cause of your problems? The problems are still there. They don't go away. What happens when you go to a psychologist and they get their $100 an hour or whatever the hell they get? They discuss your problems. You discuss your life with them. Now, if all you did was talked about positive things and you didn't come clean with your therapist, that wouldn't be good therapy. You know? So there are individuals that are, I don't know if this is part of their little scheme, not to work with people, you know, to tell people, oh, I don't want to hear your story. No, I'm not interested in hearing your story. I have to teach you how to block out the negativity. And then you charge them a fee for it. That's not reality. You know, but it's not the real world. So I don't want to hear about negative energy, toxicity, ranting, and all this nonsense that these online lemmings are giving us grief over. You know,
Not us. Not me, for certain. I don't cotton to any of that crap.
You know,
Don't bother me one
tell it
iota.
like it is. You tell.
I miss no hours of sleep at night.
If you listen, if you worry about what other people think, you will constantly be a slave to them.
No kidding.
You know, and I'm not like
And you allow them to control your life.
I'm not worried about them. I'm tired.
No, but you're worried about what they think or say about you.
No,
and we should never do that. Ego should never enter into anything.
Right, but I'm tired of. I find that their comments to be quite annoying.
Then you withdraw. You withdraw.
Because what happens is these individuals, whether they be poor or middle class conservatives, which is absolutely ridiculous, or whether they be people that are walking around in a trance trying to channel only positive energy, whoever they may be groupies of somebody who's a motivational speaker who has them hypnotized. The point is, if they're not dealing with the hard truth of life, which consists of positive and negative facts, if they're not dealing with that, then they're not going to solve their problems.
Yeah, but at the moment, they don't seem to have the problem. The person they're criticizing seems to have the problem, or has taken on the problem.
The person who is the attacker, or not
No.
attack. I shouldn't say attack.
Attackee, in this instance, is worrying about it.
But it's not.
Why would he worry about it?
But it's not always attack.
Whatever.
It's facts. Like, you know.
I'm not talking about from your point of view.
Yeah.
I just said now they
Oh, okay.
are attacking the attackee, and the attackee's going over and saying, "Oh my God, why?"
Wait. Listen.
Withdraw.
Listen, buddy boy.
Forget it.
Get this straight. I don't go woo 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 ha ha hee hoo 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 hoo. Oh no. I come back with information. I don't freak out and have a
Then
a
why
heart attack over
worry
what they
about
say.
it?
I precisely use the right words.
Why worry about it?
Because they're going around spreading rumors.
That
To other
cannot be
people.
stopped in any case.
Huh?
That can't be stopped in any case.
Well, you can't control.
People can say anything they want about me. How do I stop that?
You can't.
Well then, so why would you worry about it?
Do you know the police told a friend of mine that you can't stop people from posting what they want to say online. There's no legally you cannot, unless they're threatening you, physically, bodily threatening you. You cannot.
Or if it becomes defamation, then you have a legal recourse.
Okay, now defamation of character is slander, of course.
Slander.
Now, what if somebody?
You have to prove it.
What if somebody states something that's a 100% bona fide fact?
Have to be proven in court if they take it to court.
It has to be proven that you are lying about the individual.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, got you. You know, but this is the real
Again,
world.
you're back to the situation.
Back to the situation.
Why worry about criticism? If you worry about criticism, you shouldn't be in the business.
Well, it's not criticism.
It is.
It's a subject. Let's say we're talking about the economy.
Yeah.
Like, for instance,
And you
Dan
said your piece, and they said their piece.
right.
Now what?
Dan says we need to get rid of the IRS and we need a flat tax. I come
Right.
back
and
and
you say your thing.
the flat tax, it only helps the rich.
Right. He's say, oh, you know what, Jan? You're
No.
right.
No, I don't want him
You're
to.
right.
I don't want him to grovel.
Whatever. It ain't going to
See,
happen.
When somebody, you know what? A lot of people make it ego. Because if somebody is telling you something and saying that you're wrong and I can prove it, you should not get defensive. Even you, Dr. Bill,
We
sometimes
have
you
been
get
trying
defensive.
to prove
You get
science
defensive sometimes.
over religion for how many years? Has it been done yet?
Hundreds of years.
That's correct. And it hasn't been done yet. Because you're never going to change people's minds who are into an ideology. And that should not be your job. As I say about my job, it is to warn, not to change anyone
You're not trying to convert.
by the sword or otherwise.
No, or try to, you're
And I'm
enlightened.
certainly not trying to put myself above them. I am right and you are wrong.
What if you have the facts and they don't?
Doesn't matter.
Yes,
I
it
just
does
told you.
matter.
I just told you, as far as science is over religion, science has the facts. Has it proven itself over religion?
Yes.
No, it hasn't.
Not in their eyes.
Well, then who are you trying to convince?
But you have the satisfaction of knowing
Who are you trying to convince?
You have the satisfaction of knowing that you have the proof.
What satisfaction is that?
You have a clear conscience that you have the evidence before you.
But what about the person you're trying to convince?
Well, they're an imbecile.
All right, then why don't you just walk away?
I guess that's the only thing you can do.
Absolutely.
And some of these
What does
imbeciles,
the Bible say?
some of these
If
imbeciles,
you argue with a fool, you become a fool.
some of these imbeciles are very well respected and revered.
Doesn't matter.
And they,
So what?
and they might be part of the fucking internet media.
Who was more revered, the Pope or Galileo?
Unfortunately, the Pope was
Correct.
more revered than Galileo.
Correct. And whose argument won the day?
At that time, the Pope.
At that time.
The Pope.
The Pope. Thank you.
Well, you have Galileo, you have Isaac Newton, Copernicus, whatever.
What did it take, though, for their arguments to win the day?
Hey, you know Leonardo
and years.
Leonardo da Vinci had to keep a lot of things secret also.
Correct.
He got flack.
Correct.
Heat from the Pope.
Anybody throughout history who came up with something that was against the church or the people in power, like the witches and etc., they were in big trouble.
Like
Big trouble.
you got the bucks, you got the megaphone, you control the military. You could be 100% wrong every time, and in other words, you're a mega bully. It's like a bully that has way too much power, and they do what they do because they can do what they
There's
do.
no right or wrong in life like that, under politics,
Like-
under nations.
But look how
etc.
many years have the rich? Look how many years have the rich not paid taxes? Over
Yeah,
30 years,
32.
right? 32 years.
And when they did pay a little more, it was only 4.6% under Clinton, from 35% to 39, and that point.
Oh, I sent you a tax
Deal.
rate, a historic tax rate chart that showed
Yes, I told you you should post that every now and then.
that went from way back
$77
to,
in 1918. Okay, and then
Yeah.
it went down during the 20s, which caused the Great Depression.
right, exactly.
Then it went up in the 40s after the war, and through the 70s, till Mr. Reagan. And I believe at one time Reagan had it all the way down to 28.
And what kills me, what really aggravates me, is they're bitching about the taxes they're paying now.
35%.
They're complaining about 35%.
Correct. That's why it's just a bunch of baloney.
They're like babies, like taking away a favorite toy from a little boy, taking a tantrum. How rich does an individual need to be happy and content? How
Well,
rich?
happiness and contentment doesn't come with riches, number one.
It's a sickness. It's greed. It's wickedness.
What did Mr. Gecko say in Wall Street?
What do you say?
Greed is good.
What? Because he says so?
Well, that's what he said. Michael Douglas in Wall Street.
Oh, the movie.
Gecko.
The movie Wall Street.
Well, of course. What other kind of philosophy would
Greed is
people take
good
today?
because Michael Douglas in the movie was just a greedy, miserable son of a bitch in that movie.
A rich, greedy, nasty son of a bitch.
Through ill-gotten gains?
Well, that doesn't make it wrong or right just because it's ill-gotten.
Well, because they say so?
No, I just said it.
Wait a
It
minute.
doesn't matter.
The Reverend Dr. William J. Eisenman is saying that it doesn't matter if it's ill-gotten gains or not? What makes you say
Of
that?
course
Is
that
Satan making you say that? Why would you say something like that?
Because it doesn't matter
Why doesn't it matter?
how you got your riches.
Oh, really?
You're rich, and you're making decisions for other people.
Okay.
So if you got it ill-gotten or got it in some good way,
In a good
so what? How does that affect things?
Well, you should pay your taxes nonetheless.
Well, then what does that have to do with good or bad?
Well, bad
Just
means
because-
you got it. You
No, you
committed a
can't-
crime. You are technically a rich
The
criminal.
people on Wall Street who caused this financial crisis
Are criminals.
did not commit crimes. They had the laws changed so that their criminality would not be crimes anymore. Don't you
But in
understand?
the eyes of reality and the Lord, they're unethical.
There are no Christians on Wall Street, so the Lord has nothing to do with this.
Just because a Republican changes the law and deregulates
Correct.
everybody in business, that doesn't make it. That makes it on the books.
Technically.
Technically, it makes
Correct.
it a non-criminal act.
And how about
But in reality, it's a criminal
and
act.
how about Citizens United and KIDA, as I pointed out in the last issue of the newsletter? These two laws also deal with technicalities and not realities. Where in KIDA, the person is not disabled once they hold a job. Is that reality or is that technicality? Citizens United. Corporations are people.
Booting-
and they're allowed to give any amount of money
Technicality.
they want.
Booting a disabled person off of Social Security disability.
Now let's not get deeper into the I asked one question and one simple question only. Are we dealing in those two laws with technicalities or realities?
Technicalities.
Correct.
Technicalities. Because I bucked heads with somebody over the disabled issue, and I sent you the conversation
Well,
where they were saying about it's all in the positive attitude with disabled people. It's all in the attitude, and the person went on and on.
What does that have to do with the law?
That the disabled people, if they want to do something with their life and go to work and blah blah, and I told that individual, you can't survive on a hamburger flipping part-time job that a handicapped person might be able to get, and how long will that disabled person be able to hold that part-time hamburger flipping minimum wage job, and can they survive on it? The answer is no.
And can that person who is talking the positive nonsense and stuff, will he ever become as rich as Bill Gates? With all this opportunity in this great American world.
And he mentioned those people like Mark Zuckerberg and Steve Jobs. He mentioned that.
Right. But, as I say,
No, he will never
he
be
will
that.
never.
No.
That is correct.
And the fact
So
is...
what does all that stuff have to do with it?
The fact is, if a disabled person gets this part-time job because they have been made to feel guilty by Republicans by collecting a fixed income, SSD, they will get kicked off and their checks will be removed from them, and they will lose their Social Security, disability,
Because
and SSI.
They magically became able-bodied and no longer disabled,
And that's the big
according to the law.
that's the big fight I was having with this person on Facebook. That he was trying to say, oh, it's a positive thing that handicapped people have this great positive attitude, and they apply themselves, and they get out there, and they become, independent, and they get a job. And guess what? All right, you lose your Social Security, disability. You're handicapped. Okay, can you survive on what a disabled person, the job that a disabled person can get? Can you survive on that? Answer is no.
I remember a blind personal friend
Right.
who was getting divorced.
Uh-huh.
And in the courtroom, he told the judge, he said, hey, Judge, I can't give her that much. I ain't got that kind of money.
I ain't got it.
You know what the judge told him?
What?
Get another job.
Oh, yeah,
Get
sure.
3 jobs.
3?
Yeah.
And he's blind.
He's blind. That's correct.
So, what are they going to do if he doesn't come up with the money?
I don't know. Maybe they'll put him in jail and he won't have a job.
They're going to throw the blind man in jail?
But that's not the point. The point is, again, these people have this notion, this delusion of all this opportunity in America.
Milk and honey.
Milk and honey.
Like Danny Mount, the milk and honey country. Yeah.
Now, when God led the Israelites out of Egypt to the promised land,
Right.
Canaan, so to speak, it was referred to as a land of milk and honey. But Joshua had to go in there and beat the shit out of the people that were there. It wasn't an easy task to arrive at this milk and honey thingy. And guess what?
But
They never experienced milk and honey in the land.
no,
Never.
These are pull yourself up by the bootstraps conservatives, and it's amazing how you can have a conservative that preaches, that tells you to pull yourself up by the bootstraps and take they love to say this, take responsibility for your life. People
What
should
is
take responsibility. But these people live week to week. They're not
Yeah, but
wealthy.
what is responsibility?
Yeah, what is
Going
responsibility?
to work for somebody and allowing that paycheck to allow you to survive? And without that paycheck, you would starve to death? You would die?
Being a drone,
Is that freedom? Is that liberty?
a sort of slave to a corporation, is that liberty?
Yeah. No.
What is responsibility? Yeah, what is...
What his responsibility is, coming from their mouths, is that you must always be groveling to your betters. Always know your betters and grovel, my friend. Bow before the king.
That's if you're a pussy and a wimp, yeah.
By the way, one of the new right-wing propagandas floating across the internet is that Barack Obama wishes to be called king from now on.
If that was reality, he would be the laughing stock of the world. I highly doubt if Barack Obama ever made that statement. It's funny, but unless he made it, he was being sarcastic and he made it as a joke for Republicans. But I don't think he seriously meant that. But
Anything that comes from the right wing over the internet is bullshit.
There's a lot of pathetic crap on the internet coming from people that just want to hear themselves talk. You hear that? You conservatives that don't even have a pot to piss in, that like to preach and lecture and tell other people how to live their lives, you don't know what the hell you're talking about. You don't have your facts. And you're fools.
But that doesn't prevent them from doing it.
But guaranteed, some individuals are going to call
Talking about responsibility.
They're going to call me a bully and a meanie for saying such things. Well, you know what? Hey, that's reality. The truth is the truth. Anyway, thank you for joining us for Progressive Discussions. We'll see you next time. Say so long.
So long, people. Hope you learned something.
Yeah, and if you're going to learn something even better, try to get behind a good, solid, progressive, independent candidate in 2016. I think we might. I think the independents are going to be the strongest that they'll ever be in 2016 because there's a movement going on. So we'll see.